Welcome to John S. Sports Channel where we do everything Championship, League One and even running. And today it is League One Week 15 predictions, and we're going to jump straight into Friday night, tonight's game. Barnsley versus my team Rotherham. We have Barnsley have only won one at Oakwell this season against Rotherham, who, well, let's face it, last time out 3-1 home trouncing against Cheltenham in the FA Cup and going out. In the last 5 league games, Rotherham managed to win 2, draw 1 and lose 2. Whereas Barnsley won against Port Vale 3-1 in the 5 league games. They managed to lose 2, win 2 and draw 1. It's an interesting game. Barnsley could do their usual and lose it in the first few minutes, and they could lose it in the last 10, 20 minutes as they usually do. But I can't see it happening here. And what are you lot saying? 2-1, 2-2, 2-1, 2-1, 1-1. Now, there's a couple of people thinking it could be a draw, seeing as Barnsley are so poor at home. Can't really see that. I'm going to go with Barnsley 2, Rotherham 0. And we'll move on to the Saturday games now with Burton versus Shrewsbury. So Burton in 24th, Shrewsbury in 23rd, and can Burton continue this little bit of a run they've got? The last 2 games winning 1-0 at home to Scarborough Athletic in the FA Cup. Then they had the midweek game this week against Crawley and drew 0-0. You know, they've been playing quite well, and they hit a team, Cambridge, just before those 2 games and lost away 1-0. But Cambridge, they started to pull a couple of games there together, and they started to show that they can actually win games and possibly get out of that bottom 4. So perhaps it's just a case of we hit them at the wrong time. And even then, you look at the games before, the 2 games before, Wycombe Wanderers and Bolton. Wycombe are doing really well, and to lose 3-2 at home is by no means an awful result. I think Burton have the ability, and I'm gonna back the fact that I've been saying for a couple of games now. Burton have been playing quite well, just not getting the result from it, and I think that that Burton will finally start to see some benefit of this difference in play that they've been doing. I'm going to go for Burton 1, Shrewsbury 0. Then we move on to Wrexham versus Mansfield. Now Wrexham, of course, in 3rd position, Mansfield in 4th. What do we see here? We've got a side in Wrexham that have just faltered a little bit. Draw 0-0 against Huddersfield, draw 2-2 against Charlton. They can only manage a 1-0 defeat to Harrogate Town, and you start to think, well, have the wheels fallen off? A Northampton 4-1 win in October, early October, and a 1-0 win away at Rotherham when we're playing rubbish isn't really. Certainly the Rotherham win wasn't that convincing. They were pretty poor. Northampton, though, yeah, they looked pretty smart against Northampton. So have the wheels fallen off? Have people found out how to play against this back 5 that they constantly play? And then we're looking at Mansfield, who are constantly up there, and they've been proving me correct as my team to watch of the season. Please go see the video. The last 2 games have been in Cups. 3-0 to Newcastle win against Newcastle in the Mickey Mouse Cup, and Curzon Ashton 4-0 win away in the FA Cup. They managed a 1-1 draw at home to Birmingham, a 2-1 win away at Wigan. They lost to Stevenage 1-0, but they seem to be a bit yo-yo, good one week, poor the next. And Blackpool, they won 2-0. I can't help but thinking that here we've got a side that is in Mansfield that is just managing to maintain what their performance level absolutely at one level, whereas we've got Wrexham, who just seem to have stuttered a little bit. Mansfield, we know, can score goals. on a regular basis. Wrexham seem to rely on the fact that they've got that back five, and they just wear the opponents down and then try and grab a goal or two, or in Northampton's case, 4. So we know they can score goals as well when they want to. And they have a class side. So this is going to be quite difficult. What are you saying? 1-1, 3-1, 2-1, 3-3, 3-2. You're really going for either a draw or Wrexham. And I just think that this may be one of those games where they think they've got to try and come back and do well. I think with home advantage they could sneak this 3-2, but I'm going to go with the comment of Wrexham 3, Mansfield 3. Then we're going to go to Birmingham versus Northampton, and Birmingham are now in second place in League One, and out of their last 6 games, they won in the FA Cup, counting that one, and the Mickey Mouse Trophy. They beat Fulham under 21 7-1. And you can see that this team is pretty much able to fire on all cylinders wherever it goes. Mansfield, a strange away draw, which was the last league game they played. They do seem to be a little bit hit and miss occasionally, but usually they're firing on all cylinders. Usually they're able to put the games to bed quite early on. Occasionally they lose, they let a silly goal in early on, and it seems to be because they're underestimating their opponents, but then they soon manage to pull that one back out of the bag and get a draw or a win. So Birmingham, they're the ones to beat, aren't they, really? They're only second on goal difference, and they have a game in hand. So we look at Northampton. Northampton actually haven't been playing that badly. We take out the cups, it's a Lincoln City defeat, Crawley win, Stockport draw, Leyton Orient win. Now you can see they're at the bottom half, so are we really going to take that into account? Birmingham second, Northampton 18th. Northampton can score, and they can score quite well when they want to, and they can. But I've seen them get up ahead quite easily ahead, and then all of a sudden throw it away, and they do have a tendency to do that, whereas Birmingham have a tendency to come back from behind. So if they do go behind, so I think that there's only one winner here. What are you talking about? 2-0, 2-1, 2-0, 2-1, 3-0. I'm going to go with Birmingham 3, Northampton 0. Let's stay with what you guys are saying at the minute. So I'm pretty much in line with what you were saying. Bristol Rovers versus Lincoln City next. Bristol Rovers in 17th versus Lincoln City in 5th, and we've got Bristol Rovers who've been playing pretty hit and miss. I'm very, very hit and miss. They turned up against Shrewsbury and won 1-0, but we know where Shrewsbury are. Huddersfield 3-1 defeat against those. Can't count that as Mickey Mouse Cup. Reading 1-0 defeat away. Exeter, that's a Mickey Mouse, and Weston-super-Mare win in the FA Cup. I think they've probably wanted to just clear off these cup competitions and start to try and just make sure that this position of 17th doesn't start to rot any further, because the teams underneath them are starting to play quite well, and I've got a feeling that the management will want to try and concentrate on the league, and quite rightly so. That bottom is quite level, and it's looking like a huge number of teams could be fighting against relegation, including my team. So Bristol Rovers there wanting to do something. They have done something. They can play well. They can play well if they turn up. Lincoln City, though, in 5th position. You're not going to bet against Lincoln. The last three games they've won: Chesham, Northampton, Stockport. 2 defeats against Crawley and Birmingham. Birmingham you'd expect. Crawley you certainly wouldn't. Away 3-0 defeat against Crawley was certainly one that I looked at with amazement, because you would expect them to have won that one. But like I said, Crawley have started to play quite well. So I've seen some changes there, and I'm quite impressed by them. Bristol Street Motors before that, and a 1-0 or 2-0, 2-1 away win against Grimsby. So what are we going to say? Bristol Rovers versus Lincoln. I think the Lincoln side for me has slightly eased off a little bit. They've not quite got that oomph and that amazing skill level that I think they had in the first 2/3 of the games that we've seen. In the last few, they just seem to have been a little bit tired, looked a bit tired to me. But I think that they will manage to overturn a Bristol Rovers side. What are you all saying? I'm going to go with what you're saying. You're saying Bristol Rovers Lincoln 1-2, 0-1, 0-1, 0-0. So you're all saying Lincoln should just about scrape this, and Bristol Rovers may very well turn up and score one, because they're not averse to scoring just the odd goal here and there. And I think they will score. Lincoln City, though, they can score more than one, and quite easily. So I think they will score more. I think they'll score either 2 or 3. So 3-1 or 2-1. I'm going to go for Bristol Rovers 1, Lincoln City 2, and go with what you're mainly saying. Crawley versus Huddersfield next. And this is interesting for me, because I've been banging the drum for Crawley for a few games now, thinking, they're actually starting to do well. And they did well for half the game against Burton midweek. 0-0 draw. But Crawley came out from being well beaten in the first half. And in the second half, they came out really, really well. If they can do that for 90 minutes, and I remember saying this in the review, they could do really well. They could certainly get out of that bottom 4 and easily into that sort of just 6 points away from it quite nicely. But they're playing a Huddersfield side that certainly, if you take out the cup competitions, win, going closer to home, win, draw, and a win, and of course the next one's a cup competition. So win, draw, win. You can't really deny they are playing pretty well. The only draw was against Wrexham, so hell, it was always going to be a tight 7. Huddersfield in the top 6 and against Wrexham in the top 3. So I think we're going to have to be very careful on this one, because I think that everybody's expecting a Huddersfield trouncing of Crawley, and I just think that this could end up quite nasty. This could end up as a 1-1 draw. So I'm just going to put a little comment in here, and I'm going to put a little comment saying I believe this could end up 1-1. So Crawley Town, if you can play 90 minutes like you did in midweek, there's no reason why you can't get 1-1. I really think that is a possibility. But let's see what you're all saying. 1-2, 0-3, 1-2, 1-4, 0-1. I think that I think Crawley could, on balance of averages, I think they will score. I just think that it's going to be a case of how many will Huddersfield score then, because I think it could very well be 1. I think I've not seen Huddersfield playing that brilliant football that we know they can play. It's top end League One football they're playing, and they have been playing bottom end Championship football, which is a little bit better quality. I'm gonna go with let's have a look. It's very, very difficult. It really is very difficult, isn't it? I'm going to go with what the main score that you're actually coming up with. I'm going to have to say Crawley 1, Huddersfield 2, and that they'll just go 1 goal further than what I think they might do, and nick it with a late winner. Exeter versus Charlton next, and Exeter in 11th versus Charlton in 12th. And I'm looking at your predictions, and and I'm stunned. We wouldn't have expected this. I mean, Exeter are doing far better than we thought. They lost 2 games in the last 6 games in total, if we include the cup games. Huddersfield and Reading. Huddersfield away 2-0 and Reading at home 2-1. And you know, they're playing a side in Charlton who were really technical and really brilliant, I thought, at the beginning half of the season. Coming back to draw 2-2 at home to Rotherham in one of our only good performances. And they've just been failing in it's almost like they just didn't try. I mean, Wrexham, they should have. I thought they should have won Wrexham, but that 2-2 draw. Barnsley 2-2, Stockport 1-1. They seem to be pulling in a few draws recently, and it's not for want of trying. They have got the quality there, and they can perform quality football, but I've just not seen it fully in the last few league games. Against a side in Exeter that, again, they played really well, but when they start playing the top teams, they can stutter. And when they play, I mean, Reading, that was just an odd, poor performance, like a bad day at the office. And I'm sort of looking at this and thinking, okay, we'll look at the FA Cup results. Just a quick look at the FA Cup results. Charlton, they won away at Southend 4-3. What about Exeter then? Well, they won at home against Barnet 5-3. And you start to see, there's an issue here, isn't there? There's an issue here. They're all letting goals in. They're both capable of letting goals in, but they're both capable of scoring. And you know, I'm going to go specially because I'm going to listen to your predictions here. 1-1, 0-0, 2-2, 1-1, 1-1. I'm going to go 3-3, and there we are. Extra 3, Charlton 3. Let's move on out of that one because that's going to be a ding dong of a bath. It could win. What? I don't think it will. I don't think it will go one way or the other. I think it's a good chance of being a draw, that one. Leyton Orient versus Blackpool next, and Blackpool have had a tough time recently, but we know that's off the pitch issue. Well, it's probably off the pitch issues. He has got his reasons for poor bloke for not being there. We wish him well, and all commiserate or condolences to him. Leyton Orient, of course, not playing very well. They're pretty poor of recent. They won Rotherham 1-0 at home, and realistically, we're playing that badly that I would have expected them to have won more than that. Against Blackpool, that are equally not really ticking. They can play really good football, but yeah. Is it 2-0 away defeat to Mansfield, 2-1 at home defeat to Barnsley. Going forward, Peterborough away defeat 5-1, Wigan 2-2 home draw. Then it's the two cup matches which we won't count. So they're not playing great, but there again, neither are Leyton Orient. So we've got a bit of a stalemate here. And what are you saying? 1-2 to Blackpool, 0-2, 3-1 to Orient, 2-1 to Blackpool, 0-1. We're going all over the place, but not a draw. And I, I'm going to go down the middle of you, and I'm going to be the only one to say a draw. I'm going to say Leyton Orient 0, Blackpool 0. And let's go to Peterborough versus Cambridge, and can Cambridge win another game? Now look at this, guys. Cambridge lost against Exeter 1-0 on the 5th of October. Since then, they've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight wins. Yeah, okay. It was an away win in the FA Cup, 1-0, and then it was a 1-0 home win to Chelsea in the Mickey Mouse Trophy. But these all count to getting the spirit of the team, that winning spirit. Once that comes back, guys, that is an incredible push to the team. That team are in 21st. They were bottom. The eagerness and the enthusiasm and the positivity in that team must be absolutely brimming over. The fans, for once, have got. When we played them and won them, our first away win in nearly 2 years, the fans were saying that was dreadful football from both sides. And it was awful football from both sides. It really was dreadful. You'd think we were both 23rd and 24th. But now the fans must be thinking, this is a different team. It's really, it's a decent team. I'm not going to say really good. It isn't really good, but it's a decent brand of football. And it's one that doesn't look like it's going to be in the bottom four. And they're playing Peterborough, who, they've not been playing that well, to be quite honest. I mean, a Bolton away defeat. We cut out the two. I mean, the two cup games. They've got the. We will talk about those two. Newport County 4-2 away win, and the reason why I'm going to talk about it is because then they did the Mickey Mouse Trophy and they won 4-1 at home to Crystal Palace under 21s. So they scored 4 in both of these. Now some of in the trophy they've probably put a few reservists on that. But before that, you've got a 1-0 defeat to Bolton, 5-1 win at home to Blackpool, a 3-1 away defeat to Wickham, and then a draw 3-3 at home to Rotherham. And you're thinking, and that was a comeback by Peterborough. So they're very up and down. Sometimes they play really well, sometimes they play really rubbish. So what are you saying? It's Peterborough at home against Cambridge, 4-2, 0-1, 4-2, 3-2, 3-1. Now I can see every one of those coming right, but everybody's saying high scoring. Most people saying Peterborough. I'm going to agree with one of you. I'm going to go with Peterborough 0, Cambridge 1. We know Peterborough can score, and they could just suddenly put 4 in and make it 4-1. But I think it's going to be 0-1. I'm going to go with the one person who doesn't think it's going to be high scoring, which maybe my downfall on that one. Oh dear, we know Peterborough can score, don't we? Stevenage versus Reading next, and I'm so proud of the way that Reading players have played during the time of turmoil off pitch, because like I say, it's usually the off pitch things that make the on pitch so difficult to get over. We've got Stevenage in 15th versus Reading in 9th, and Stevenage have been quite poor of late. 1-1 against Guiseley in the FA Cup, 4-1 defeat against Bolton at home, and then 2-0 defeat away at Rotherham. And let's face it, we were both awful on that day. I don't think either of us deserved to get any points. Cambridge United defeat at home 2-0, and you can see that Stevenage are in a bit of a sticky patch of late. Out of the last 6 games of football, the only win was actually away at Mansfield, 1-0, a really strange win, and all of a sudden they played really well, they turned up, and it was away from home. Where did it come from? But they're playing a Reading side that of late, a little bit up and down. I mean, Stockport away defeat 4-1 was just well out of order. Where did that one turn up from? I mean, look at the wins, the 4 wins that they've got in the last 6 games. And just score-wise, I mean, they're against Crawley, Exeter, Bristol Rovers and Fleetwood. Okay, not top 6 teams. However, it's 4-1, 2-1, 1-0 and 2-0. They're all over the place. You can't say that they're consistently doing something or not doing something. So it's a really difficult game for me to look at this one, Stevenage versus Reading. I can't see a great deal of goals in it, but and you're all over the place, you lot. You're saying 0-0, 1-2, 2-3, 0-1, 1-1. I am actually going to agree with one of you because I can't see where this one's going to go. It could go either direction, anywhere from 0-0 to 2-0 in one direction. If one scores, I don't think the other one will. That's the only thing I can think of. I'm going to go with Stevenage 0, Reading 0. We go to Stockport versus Bolton next, and Bolton had such high hopes before the season started. I remember the Bolton fans saying they were going to be second or third at worst, and yeah, they're going to be flying up this table. As it is, draw, win, lose, win, and then the FA Cup defeat to Walsall, and you have to start thinking this is a pretty decent mid-table team. They're in sixth, Bolton, but at the minute they're not playing. They're not getting the results of a team in 6th place, and they seem to be just. They'll put on the style every so often, and it's a complete washout of the opposition. 4-1 win away at Stevenage, for instance. And you just see it. Birmingham 2-0. They lost 2-0 at Birmingham. I thought actually they played quite well, but every so often they just don't seem to play. They play, but they just don't get the ball in the net. They play well, but they don't get the ball in there. Stockport County, they have been playing well. They're in 10th, but it's up and down. A draw against Charlton, they've been quite technical. They can be technical. That's a good draw. Northampton away at home 1-1. That's a strange draw. Followed by a 2-1 away defeat to Lincoln City, but they are in the top echelons of the league. And then it's the next league game is the 5-0 score, the 5-0 defeat to Wycombe, but Wycombe are now top of the league. So it's a difficult one to call, this one for me. You're going 2-1, 1-2, 2-2, 2-2, 4-2. I don't think I can separate these two. I'm going to go with you directly and go Stockport 2, Bolton 2. Now, I'm going to definitely agree with you lot on that one. I haven't played my Joker yet. Where's my Joker going to come? There's only Wigan versus Wycombe left. And we get Wigan versus Wycombe. Now, Wycombe obviously on the top of the league, 6 wins in a row. Crawley, Peterborough, Burton, Orient, York City in the cup, and Stockport 1-0, 3-1, 2-3, 3-0, 3-2, 0-5. They've been scoring very, very well and very easily, haven't they? Against a Wigan side that they put up a good fight against Mansfield at home and lost 2-1. Blackpool, a bit of a rough time of late, 2-2 away. They're not doing too badly, but they're not doing as well as what I thought they would do. They've just not clicked yet, and with them not clicking, I think that we could see Wigan in 19th, although they're trying frantically not to drop into that into the bottom 4. I think you very well might see them here drop into that bottom 4 against a Wycombe side who are first in the league. What are you saying? 1-1, 0-1, 2-1 to Wigan, 2-1 to Wycombe, and 1-1 I will play my Joker because there's nobody saying this. I think, what did we see in midweek? 5-0 Wickham over Stockport. I'm going to go Wigan 0, Wickham 4. So that's my that's my predictions for the League One Week 15 games. Please like and subscribe. Please watch me on the watch-alongs and listen-alongs, and we shall be there giving you more predictions and more reviews of the games that have gone. It's like and subscribe. John S. Sports Channel, over and out.